You never know until you ask. And somebody at CBS News had the idea the other day, why don't we ask Herman Cain to come on? Now, he suspended his campaign. Well, of all things, he said yes. He's in our New York headquarters this morning. Mr. Cain, welcome to the broadcast. We're glad to see you back. But I've got to ask you something. You know, you suspended your campaign, and we're pleased to have you, but why did you accept the invitation? Do you have something you want to tell us this morning? Are you going to endorse a candidate? What brings you to television this morning?
Well, number one, I'm not going to endorse anyone right now, but when I do make an endorsement, it will be unconventional. Remember, I'm the unconventional candidate with unconventional ideas, but it will not be at this particular point in time. Secondly, the reason that I accepted your invitation is because I wanted to let people know that just because I am not seeking the position of president, I have not abandoned the mission, which is to help get Barack Obama out of the White House.
You say you're starting a new movement. What kind of movement?
It's going to be a movement that's going to keep attention on solutions. One of the things that has frustrated me and many of the American people has been all of the negative attacks that have taken place during this campaign. Just look at what happened last week. And secondly, it takes attention away from how you're going to fix stuff. This is what the American people want. When I was in the campaign and I was at the top of the polls, it was the fact that people were connecting with solutions. And so what I plan to do is continue to promote solutions to problems because not enough attention is being paid to them.
Well, you're talking about all these negative attacks. We had kind of an extraordinary little interview with candidate Newt Gingrich just a while ago. And basically, talking about the attacks that Mitt Romney has leveled on him, he said flatly, yes, that Mitt Romney is simply a liar. And I went on to ask him, well, then can you endorse him if he decides, if he gets the nomination? And he said, well, yes, he could, because even though he's a liar, he's better than Barack Obama. What did you come away from the campaign thinking about Mitt Romney? Do you agree with Newt Gingrich that he is, in Gingrich's word, quote, a liar, unquote?
Well, Bob, as you know, in politics, there's political speak, and then you can choose other words. Now, in political speak, it would have been stated as, well, he was not totally honest. And Newt has tried to call him out on this. But you'd have to raise that same question with every candidate, including the current president. Can you honestly say that the current president has been 100% truthful about everything that he said? I think if we were to do the analysis, you'd have to come away and say, well, some of them may not have been as truthful as they could have been. So I think it is a choice of words, not as strongly as he would support a liar. That's my opinion.
It is interesting that you bring up the question of truthfulness, because what drove you from the campaign were questions about your own truthfulness in terms of your relationship with women. I do want to ask you this morning, how is your wife?
My wife is doing marvelous, thank you. We were blessed to have our fourth grandchild on New Year's Day. So 2012 has gotten off to a great start for my wife and I. She is doing fine because since I got out of the race, we don't have to constantly hear the spinning and the respinning of those false accusations. And so you're absolutely right. From that standpoint, she's great, and she is very supportive of this national movement that I'm going to be launching later this week in order to keep attention on what's really important in this. The whole Iowa caucus, with all due respect, it should narrow the field. The same thing should happen with New Hampshire. And so as the field narrows, I think and I hope that people will get back to paying more attention to how are these candidates going to fix problems. That's what the American people are looking for.
Mr. Cain, I know you've said in some recent interviews that if a Republican were to defeat Barack Obama, you would be interested in serving in the next administration as Secretary of Defense. That is a big job to serve as Secretary of Defense. I just want to ask you a couple of questions. You've had some mistakes on the campaign trail. You were confused about the Taliban. You said that you thought that the Taliban might take control in Libya. You know that the Taliban are not in Libya, correct?
Correct. Norah, look, it's a learning process. And there are a lot of things that I have learned as a result of having been in the campaign as well as after the campaign. Now, the reason that I indicated that I would consider being Secretary of Defense, I don't think that my qualifications to be the Secretary of Defense should be based upon something that I said months ago in error. No, it should be based upon leadership. National security is one of our biggest challenges that we have in this country. And I believe that as a leader in that position, if we have the right president, I would be able to bring a lot to the party in terms of helping to prioritize those things that need to be prioritized.
And Mr. Cain, wouldn't you have to start out being kind of fairly familiar with what the basic national security issues are? I mean, you throughout the campaign seemed unaware of a lot of the things that the Secretary of Defense would have to deal with. I mean, good intentions are one thing, and bringing fresh insight, but do you really sincerely feel that you have the background and really the knowledge that you could handle a cabinet-level position like that?
Bob, allow me to remind you of something that didn't get picked up when I was beat up about what I didn't know. I served on the Citizens Advisory Board of the Strategic Air Command in Omaha, Nebraska for several years when I was there. I was exposed to some of those issues at that particular time. I started my career as a ballistics analyst with the Department of the Navy. I've actually been on a Navy ship, so I have been around some of these issues. So it's not that I'm totally void of it.
Sir, if I may interrupt, I've been on a Navy ship too, but I don't think that qualifies me to be Secretary of Defense.
Bob, I didn't say that qualified me to be Secretary of Defense. There you go, fly-specking one of the things that I mentioned when I'm trying to make a point. That's not the point, Bob. I didn't say being on a ship one time qualified me for being Secretary of Defense. My point is quite simply this. We need strong leadership in that position. And it was a hypothetical question, and I gave a response based upon the question that was asked.
Okay. Simple question. How many people serve in the armed services?
We have about 3 million people who serve in the armed services. Was that a gotcha question, Norah?
Yeah, we have about 1.6 who are active duty and about 2 million total if you include reservists who are part of our armed services. Herman Cain, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you. We appreciate